Hello. All set.
Okay, thank you. At 7 o'clock on January 3rd, I am calling the meeting of the Human Rights Commission to order. And if you would just say hi, Katie, would you just say your name and announce your presence, please?
Sabrina Hasby.
Okay, Barbara Vaughn.
Katie?
She's mute.
Bell, she, her, hers, youth services supervisor for the town of Mansfield.
Thank you. And Ray?
Ray Ficano.
And Jane Freed, Chair. Okay, thank you. I'd like to have a motion to approve the minutes of last month's meeting, please. I'd like to. An act of faith. Who would like to make a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve last month's minutes.
Okay, thank you. Second?
I'll second.
Barbara seconds. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Ray, have you got any, other than the fact that we seem to be turning into an urban community, have you got any other information about affordable housing?
They've changed their meeting date till the 18th, so they haven't met this month. So I'm gonna go,
Okay.
I'm attending the meeting on the 18th. So there's nothing new right at the moment.
I am going to a meeting tomorrow night that I got invited to about development plans for the northeast corner of Mansfield, which I'm not exactly sure where that is, but it's for quote unquote community leaders. Hi, Janine. Janine, please record that Janine Canadia is here. And so I should know more about what people are thinking. I don't have an opinion on whatever they're going to talk about, but I might learn a lot of stuff. So I'm going to go to that meeting tomorrow night.
Jane, I think I'm going to that too. It's the Zoom meeting.
Wonderful.
Jennifer Kaufman. Yeah.
Yeah.
Virtual
Great.
Mansfield Planning and Zoning Commission housing work
Yes.
session. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
I'm
great.
going to that as well, because I'm on the.
Oh, wonderful. I always do
housing
better when other
committee.
people are listening with me.
Yeah, that was,
great.
for affordable housing, yeah.
Okay, great. Moving along to community conversations. Where's my email that I just printed here? Oh, it's right here. We have a half a dozen different projects that we're talking about. And I don't know if, and one more meeting that we should send a person to if we can do that. The first one on the agenda is the Carolyn Stearns rescheduling for the story hour. Janine, did you have time to get to that? And believe I am not onto anybody for not having done anything last month. I don't think anything happened last month. Where are you with that, Janine?
Pulling up her email. Anytime end of January onward, she's clear except for February 24th or March 9th. They are already booked.
Okay,
So-
Oh, no.
oh, now you just came back again. Okay, so are those dates for Carolyn or for what's the venue we're going to use? The library?
You said you wanted to use the
I
library,
do.
and if you would choose a date, then you could do the online form for the library. You'll have to excuse me. I don't know if I'm fighting a cold or what. So I'm a little under the weather.
It's like, let's hope it's only a cold.
Ravine had his friend New Year's Eve. So it's
You-
like, over a half dozen teenage boys. And we didn't really see them, but,
They breathed in your house.
yes.
Okay, now, so she says she's got a lot of availability. Are we talking about a Saturday morning sort of time?
Yeah, Saturdays. I specifically said Saturday. End of January onward, she's clear except for February 24th or March 9th.
Okay, how is everybody for the 27th of January or the 3rd of February?
I will be out of the country both of those days.
Okay, Barbara, I'm
Sorry.
having a lot of trouble being sympathetic to your situation, but I understand. How about everybody else?
Jane, can you just briefly describe what you're talking about?
Oh, sure. Well, Janine, why don't you describe what we're talking about?
We wanted to interact with with young ones, with the students, the younger students, elementary school students.
Okay.
And it's Carolyn Stearns on her email. It's also known as Mother Moo. She does a story type of telling where you are incorporating your own culture. So it's kind of like teaching
Mm-hmm.
how to tell your own story type of thing. So
Wonderful.
that would be, we were trying to have it at the school, but we're going to do it at the library now.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay, so this is going to require that somebody also gets in touch with the director of the new children's librarian who, no, she's not new, but she came back from maternity leave.
Mhm.
Can you do that and talk to her and see if those dates are clear on her calendar? Because you're going to have to do a little negotiating about dates before we can make a commitment.
Yeah, I could do that if we just gave them a couple of dates, and I know what when I originally started speaking with them, the one person said you just need to go online and do a form. But if we had a couple of dates, I can give them a call and
How
kind
about
of work.
the 10th of February? Barbara and Katie, are you going to be around?
In the morning,
Yeah.
yeah, I have to be up in Boston in the afternoon, but depending on what time you're talking about.
Probably 10 to 11:30 or 12.
Yeah, if before noon, I should be around. Yeah.
Katie, how about you? I mean, you don't have to come, but if you want to come, I want to make it available.
My Saturday is a little bit up in the air, so I'll make it if I can, but don't worry about planning around me. But
Okay, all right,
whenever you
that's good.
guys get everything settled, YSB can help share that information through the community update. And if anybody needs a link and a liaison to Jill over in the superintendent's office to help it go out to the MES crew, we can certainly help with that too.
Okay, thank you. All right, so let's go with the 10th. Oh, yeah, Monica.
Yeah, I was just about to say probably like the 10th and on is good because then we can also like advertise and have like a month or
Right.
so for people to
I'm
come
getting to
around.
that. Yeah, let's go for the 10th, and if that doesn't work, go back to the 3rd. Janine, is that okay?
So February 10th is the first choice.
And the 3rd is the second choice.
All right.
And please write this down, because if you're sick, you're not going to remember.
No, I paper.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Now I'm gonna, let me,
Real quick, just because I pulled it up, the library calendar does have an event on the 10th. So I can promise you'll have a conflict because it's the Friends of Mansfield Library Winter Book Sale. So the 10th is not available.
oh, no. can't do
Okay.
that. All right, we're
It
gonna have
does
to,
look like February 3rd is open. And then Saturday the 17th and Saturday the 24th is open.
Okay.
What you will run into on the 17th is, I believe that is the Mansfield Public Schools vacation long weekend. So your better bet is going to be the 24th.
And she can't do the 24th of February.
I'm getting, I want us to do something. Let's go for the 3rd and see if it works, okay?
February 3rd.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, now, we have several other possible things coming up, and I have been holding back because I haven't been able to talk to Margaret about publicity, because the ability to do any public programming totally depends on good publicity. We haven't set up that interfaith conversation yet, which I would love to do, and it struck me that February would be a good time, because it's going to be about love. If you ask the three major monotheistic religions to talk about relationships and God, they're going to talk about love. So I think February sometime is a good date. But we have to nail down the speakers and the place, and I need to talk to Margaret, and I have an appointment with her tomorrow afternoon because she couldn't be here tonight. By the way, her son just got married. So if you want to say the congratulations kind of thing to her, that would be very nice. But that's what's been holding me up. It's like, we've got to have good publicity or we're not going to get any attendance. Okay, so that's coming up, and I will have some idea of where publicity is going to go after I talk to her tomorrow. Then we have, let's see.
I've been communicating with Amy.
You have? Who's saying that?
Me.
Great. And how is she?
Sometimes the things don't work out that it has to be postponed. Numbers and things like that. But I'm actually looking at a text right now, and it said, yes, that she's still working with her DD class. Yes, the kids are still working on a community event. 2, actually. 1, we hope, will be a story exchange around empathy, community building. The other, a forum on sustainability, and that she would like to collaborate with us.
Okay, I want to do the first one. That's my idea, is because that's part of our theme with our little stickers and posters and everything.
Okay.
Do you want to let her know that that's what we want to do and see what her timeline is on that?
We'd like to, you want me to let her know that we would love to collaborate with the first one?
Yes.
The story exchanger, okay.
Yep. And
can
that'll
do
be
that.
for any age group, anybody who wants to come. And yes, I would like to do that.
Okay.
Okay. And there's an organization called Code in Hebron, which is a really good organization, and they're doing something different that I think maybe we want to try at some point. They're just having general discussions. They have a big mailing list, and when they have a general discussion on an important topic, they just invite everybody and ask you to register so they know how many people are coming. And on Martin Luther King Day, they're going to have a reading and a discussion of Martin Luther King's letter from the Birmingham jail, and to have people talk about that, which I think is wonderful. It involves absolutely no money. You don't necessarily have to have a facility. I mean, you have to have somebody call a meeting to order, but that's about it. So at the end of this meeting, I'd like to see if there are some subjects we'd like to have just small meetings that Margaret would help us publicize. Come here if you'd like to talk about this. And maybe the first one should be, do you know what your human rights are? Janine's favorite question. And would you like to find out more about it and have an open discussion? Because I mean, we're really at baseline here and trying to inform people about what we're about. So that's just a thought. Okay, so we got the story hour, we got the interfaith religion thing. And Deb, I want to ask you a question, because we've been terrified about this interfaith conversation ever since the October 7th. We don't want people getting into fights. Do you have any thoughts about how to frame this so that it is a conversation about faith traditions, not politics?
Well, I think it really depends on the people that you choose to speak. And if you set the boundaries, the parameters, it sounded like you were really focusing on love and relationships, and how each of the Abrahamic religions really view relationships, and how that might relate to the religion and to God. Or Yahweh or Muhammad. And so I think that's a safe topic.
Okay.
I think it would be, I think it would be difficult to get into politics if that is the theme, and if the speakers know beforehand.
Oh yeah,
and-
they'll know beforehand. I absolutely
Yeah.
don't want to get into
Yeah.
politics. I
No,
really
no,
want-
no, not at all. And that's not the purpose. And as I had mentioned to you before, I'm happy to help facilitate that or to speak or to help, just on the sidelines,
No, I
because
think I'm gonna
my
ask you to be willing to
experience with that.
facilitate. Lois Hoppy broke her wrist, by the way.
Oh, did she? Mm.
So she's kind of out of action she's another member of the clergy. And I've been discussing this with her too. So she's out of action for a little while until she can function effectively again. Okay, all right, good, thank you. That makes me feel better. All right, so, I mean, I think the thing that I need to do is have my meeting with Margaret tomorrow, find out about dates and publicity, and then we're going to try to get people and set this up.
I
Okay,
think, Jane, even to your point of not wanting it to be about politics, like I think you can use that in the publicity of saying, this is a conversation about faith. This
Yeah.
is not
Oh,
a
yeah.
conversation about war. And like building in that you're looking at the commonalities, the shared history of faith and religion as opposed to the current conflict, and like,
absolutely.
just spell that out to the community that this is the point of this
Of
conversation.
course.
Definitely. Thank you. We will do that. Okay. Now Peter Dart, the superintendent of the Mansfield schools, is having a diversity, equity, and inclusion meeting on January 17th. And he usually has them in the middle school. And I think they're at 5:30 in the evening, and you have to go there. They're not on Zoom. And I don't know, I haven't even looked at my calendar yet. Is there anybody, and it's members of the community, teachers, paras, anybody who works in the school, and parents.
Did he get in contact with you? Because I sent him an email and he never responded.
Not lately, but I'm on his list of people to invite, so
Okay.
I'll get in contact with him. But it's a very interesting conversation about what's going on with everybody and what they think needs to be paid attention to. And one of our other things that we have to think about is Juneteenth, and this will relate directly to Juneteenth, because we had talked about what are we going to do for Juneteenth, because Juneteenth is right at the end of school and it conflicts with everything. And the last time we talked about it, we talked about talking to the principal of the middle school and the elementary school and seeing what kinds of educational things they're doing around Juneteenth prior to Juneteenth, so we don't have to worry about having a big event. But we know what the teachers are doing with the students. And if whoever goes to that meeting, and I think I'll probably be able to go, but anybody else is welcome, I will bring that up as
When
something.
is that again?
January 17th.
Jane, when you get a time and place, would you email that around to us in
Sure,
case we can
sure.
make it there?
Absolutely.
terms
I've
of-
only been to a couple of them, but they were all very well run, and he's really good at that kind of thing, so.
Yeah, I miss going to those.
I attended the last one and it was
You have
really
a new role,
informative.
Janine. If you want to show up in your new role on the Human Rights Commission, you just show up. I'll invite you. Then I'll get in trouble, but who cares?
Just Jane,
yes.
to your point with Juneteenth, the current last day of Mansfield Board of Ed and the EO Smith graduation is actually June 11th. So they will be presumably out of school before Juneteenth.
So if we wanted to have a public event that didn't involve the schools, we could do that probably. We ran into Father's Day and graduations and all kinds of things last year. Okay, I'll check closing dates.
And
Yes, we
I'll just put out the reminder that it is for town employees, it is a day off. So if you're
Mhm,
looking
right.
at how you want to kind of get
Okay.
the most people available to support it, if you need like DPW or anybody like that, you would have a hard time getting them on the day of. But if you look at dates around it.
Okay, that's good. Thank you.
I remember Mr. Hand was interested. It was just when we had asked him, it was like kind of towards the end of the year. So if you wanted to hit him up, to see if the students can contribute or something, he might be up for that. But you would have to do it fairly
Who is
soon.
he, Janine?
And the art teacher over at MMS.
Mr. Rock.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Rock.
Yep.
Not Mr. Hand.
Yeah, we could ask them to do something like they did when they did the I can't remember the name of
stone?
the project, but the project that
Stone?
went, the stone project. they generated an incredible amount of wonderful artwork, and the kids did all kinds of research. And if we kind of threw that in and said, this is a very limited modification, but what do you think about this? They might be interested in doing something like that, because kids' artwork was wonderful.
Mm.
Okay, I'll get working on that. Okay, I think those are the only projects that we have
Um,
in the works at the moment.
an idea if you're looking for artwork, if you can find an art teacher who's willing to support you in that, you could run a competition in February for Black History Month to be like featured as the, you know, art associated with the Juneteenth proclamation, and kind of link that for anything they might already be doing for Black History Month in February, and then have that be ready to go for Juneteenth.
Okay, I'm almost at the end of my personally insane life, and I can begin to comprehend what this would all involve, but that sounds like a wonderful idea. Okay. Biography update. Anybody who doesn't have a current statement about yourself on the biography page of the Human Rights Commission, please get in touch with Margaret, because she wants like a 3-sentence statement about who you are and a picture of you that you don't mind people looking at. So please do that, because some people are either missing or out of date, and they need to be brought up to date. All right. The next Mansfield newsletter deadline is January 22nd. Does anybody want to write anything for the Mansfield newsletter?
Someone has their hand raised, Jane.
Who does?
Me,
My-
Monica.
No, I don't want to
Um,
write anything. I'm sure she doesn't. What do you want to do?
I was just curious, did we discuss happy to say hello? I think that was the next thing on the,
Yes, and this could go to that.
okay, that's, yep.
Yeah, okay, let me just jump to that and then we'll go back. The Happy to Say Hello campaign is ready to go, and this is the critical element with the publicity. Monica has got little stickers to distribute in all public places.
Oh,
We
neat.
have our brochure, and we have a little fold over card display to put on front desks in various places. So we're ready to distribute them. And after I talk to Margaret tomorrow, we'll know how to do that. But I would like those stickers to go to the schools, to the community center, to the senior center. Where else? The library. What am I forgetting? Maybe the post office. You know, just some different places so people can pick them up, and the stickers will be there with the brochure explaining what the Human Rights Commission is. But I need to talk to Margaret first to find out the most effective way to do that. We also have 2 posters that she created that she wants to put on the town website. And that's part of the publicity for this whole campaign, but I'm just stuck until I talk to her and find out exactly what she has in mind. But those stickers and everything are made and ready to go. And Monica, I'm not going to come pick them up until I know where I'm going with them. Okay, but thank you for doing that. So I think if we get the Say Hello campaign stuff out, and then we start running conversations about people getting along with each other, we will have a coherent approach to life in Mansfield for the moment, and it might actually get some people's attention. So I'm hoping we can move that forward in the next few days. That's my goal. And by the way, my partner is having surgery next Thursday, so I'm going to be out of commission for about a week while I stay home, make sure she's okay. But she will be okay, and then I can go out whenever I need to, so. Okay. What else?
Next item on the agenda was membership.
Yes, the next item on the agenda is membership. I would like to introduce to you officially the Reverend Doctor with many other titles, Debbie Pilato Fontaine, who has more titles than you could probably get on a piece of paper. And she is very interested in our work. And Debbie, will you please introduce yourself to everybody and tell them who you are? And this is not exactly an interview, but it's a getting to know you to make sure that this commission is appropriate for her and that she's appropriate for us. It's all yours.
Yeah, thank you, Jane. Hi, everyone. Yes, I know I have to be hopefully formally interviewed and a part of the Human Rights Commission. And this was when I moved into Mansfield from Woodstock, the beginning of June. And I'm very familiar with the Mansfield Stores area. I did all of my graduate work at UConn and just very familiar with the area. And so I went to the town hall one day and spoke to someone in the clerk's office, and she had shared with me what committees had vacancies so I could be involved in town government and the life. And so I had joined the Democratic Town Committee, and I was really interested in the Affordable Housing Committee and Human Rights Commission, and there were vacancies on both of those. So I had my formal interview Tuesday morning for affordable housing, and I've been going to some meetings, and I was happy to help out with the Winter Festival, but this is my first official meeting. And you know, human rights, just because of my background in counseling and psychology and ministry, of course, is just very, very important to me. And starting this month, I'm the new chair of WAME in Willimantic. So just, you know, being involved in issues and problems in our greater community, and to be sure that people are treated fairly in many, many different ways is very important to me, both as a pastor. I'm the pastor of Second Congregational Church in Coventry on Route 44, and a retired longtime teacher and professor after 48 years. So yeah,
Still
so I'm
haven't
just
slowed
eager
down.
to, pardon?
And you still haven't slowed down.
So I'm eager to help in any way if you think I might be a good candidate for this commission, and to support your work and your projects, which sound really, really awesome moving forward.
Thank you. Comments, questions, observations? Anybody want to say anything to Debbie? Other than welcome?
I appreciate how you jumped in at the Winter Festival, and
Yeah.
it's so great to have someone who's an expert on faith. So welcome to the committee.
Thank you, Sabrina. It was good to meet you as well.
Anybody else? Okay, do we have, Monica, we don't have to do anything official, right?
No, so you will email me and then Sarah Ann, the town clerk, and let us know that you approve, and then we can get her on the committee on committees probably for February, because that's the next time I believe that they meet.
Okay, and Debbie, from what I understand, you're busy this date next month, but other than that, this day is okay for you.
Yes, yeah, I leave for Cuba at the end of the month, and I fly back either February 10th or 11th. So after that, certainly I'm free.
Great, wonderful. Do I have a sense of the group that this is an appropriate new member?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, good. Thank you. All right, I will write the email.
Mhm.
And I'm assuming I'm writing the next newsletter statement unless somebody comes jumping forward and says, oh, I'm dying to write a 250-word essay on something related to people getting along with each other. But so far that hasn't provoked a lot of enthusiasm, and I don't mind doing it. So that is the business of the day. Is there other business?
Member reports.
Wait a minute, I do have an agenda and it's right here. Member reports, right there. Okay, what has everybody else been doing except having holidays?
I got stuff.
Okay,
If you remember, we attended, I don't remember now. The hate thing at the presentation at the Collins Church. And the state had indicated they were gonna be launching a campaign this year, a formal like advertising campaign about this topic. And I wrote to the state's attorney, and I wrote to all the contact persons that were at that meeting to try to get a handle on when that date is gonna be, when they're gonna roll this out. And I haven't gotten an answer yet, but I think it's something we want to keep an eye on, because it'll be something we can get involved with. second thing, last month I asked the question if somebody was discriminated against in town, who would they go to see? And we kind of kicked it around and we said that it would be Allison. And then we looked at the charge. Allison is, as you know, the Director of Human Services, and her charge and her thing talks about the ADA, but doesn't go any farther than that. I met with her today
Oh, you did? Okay, good.
and talked with her about moving forward, how we would handle these, discrimination type of complaints. She, backing up on the ADA part of it was given to that committee way back in 1990s. And the regulation that the town is operating under right now for that ADA grievance procedure doesn't have there's no resolution. They have a hearing, you can make a decision, but there's no penalties, there's no, binding decision. It seems to be a waste. Unlike we saw recently, there was that, the Fair Rent Commission ordinance that came out, that was really detailed, talked about penalties, all that kind of stuff. But the thing for the ADA doesn't have anywhere near the teeth that this has at all. In the process of talking about that, we wondered if the better place for this might be us. Because we didn't exist when this came out. But this is more of a human rights issue when you go to CHRO and that kind of, various places, more often than not, ADA is under human rights. So it's something we need to kick around. She's gonna kick it around with her committee. What I wanna do is get together a list that we could a pamphlet, a list, something where people that are aggrieved could go to seek resolution. We need a staff person as a point person, I would think, a person that's a full-time employee of the town. So Allison might, may remain the staff person, but it might be up to us to do the work. The Mansfield Human Services, she's got stuck with, not stuck. I don't want to say that publicly, but
Inherited.
she inherited the Fair Rent Commission thing, so that's one hearing process that she could get buried in. And, here we have potentially another hearing process that she could also get buried in, and, she's the people are all volunteers. So we're gonna look into that and work with that. I am willing to write up, I'm working on it now, like a pamphlet, a summary of who are all the different contact people. But we need to know what the town is gonna do, and really the town needs to make an all-inclusive statement. I don't know if you know it exists, but this town policies and management. There's a town of Mansfield policies and procedures. It's a 300-page document that has, I guess it's supposed to be our policies and procedures. It mentions the ADA grievance procedure, but that's it. Doesn't mention us. It doesn't mention anything else. And it seems to me that's a shortcoming. That there should be something more comprehensive in the town of Mansfield policies and procedures. So at some point, when the dust settles on this, and it's not gonna be for a couple of months, but I think we should be, talking to Ryan and seeing how he feels about, should we change hats? Do we need to go into this policy and procedures and make it a better, more inclusive and better? Do we need to rewrite that ADA grievance procedure? Do we want to set up, because I know you, Jane, you talked about it, do we want to set up a local commission that would do adjudication of cases? I don't know, these are all things we have to kick around a little bit. I got to do a lot more research. But I'm willing to be the point person for this because I've already started. I should say that I've been forced due to health to retire from being a para, which was unfortunate for me, but so I'm full-time. Full-time doing, so I'm willing to do this full-time too. I mean, it's, as you know, that's what I did for 38 years as an administrative judge, so hearings and regulations and stuff like that makes a lot of sense to me. So it's just so they're gonna kick it around, we're gonna kick it around. I know my feeling is kind of that, they haven't had a real case in a long time, but nobody knows it exists either, really. So, I mean, it's kind of like, yeah, you have a grievance process that's kind of buried somewhere, and if you get to the right person, you might get some, some help, but. And I want it to be, human rights is more than just, housing and ADA. ADA is so broad. I mean, it's employment and it's access. It's just, and it's only one tool. And the other thing that I mentioned was that it's only one tool. I mean, there's many more laws and regulations and ordinances, or not ordinances, but state laws that talk about discrimination that don't, dovetail into ADA. So it really needs to be more comprehensive. So I'm gonna keep pushing on this to get the resources together. I've talked with some people at CHRO. I did get some, I've gotten materials from them. I have pamphlets in Spanish and in English for how to file a complaint with them. Right now, they seem to be the most the person with the biggest bite, I guess. The problem with them is that the process is extremely long.
It's extremely slow. Barbara, what do you want to say?
I just want to make this clear in my mind what you're telling us. It sounds to me that you're telling us that if somebody in town has a grievance, they are disabled in some way and maybe they're upset about something, there's no place for them to take that?
There is a place, technically there is a place right now, there is an ADA grievance procedure that the town has approved back. I think the first round of it was in the 90s. But they would meet and discuss it and talk about it. But when you look at the regulation, it doesn't give any, it just says they'll make a decision and you can appeal the decision, but there's no penalties. I mean, like, so what, we're gonna say that you're discriminated against, and so what? And the person says, so what?
So who is on that board that who?
The grievance procedure is, let me look at that. I got it right here.
I mean, this does sound like
believe it's the
something we
Council
should be
on
involved
Aging.
with.
Oh, definitely we are gonna be. It's just, I gotta find the right pile of paper here.
I believe the ADA grievance board is a role that is fulfilled by the Council on Aging, which is another one of the commissions and committees through the town that's overseen through the Human Services Department.
Yeah,
Yes. Yep. Okay, I would like to just offer a strategic approach and see what you think, Ray.
Yep.
But it seems like we need a comprehensive statement, and you and I talked about this after that workshop we went to, and we need something that is an umbrella for human rights grievances, which incorporates ADA and incorporates, I don't know if it should incorporate fair rent because that's a very different kind of phenomenon.
yeah, I'm not saying that.
But I don't think we ought to ask Ryan what he thinks before we do it, because it will get mushy. I think we should say what we think would be a good idea and then have a conversation. And I would really like to see you jump it off the CHRO procedures vastly simplified,
Yes, absolutely.
so that the town has a kind of a way to think about things. And then we say, this is a model that we're using. We think it's appropriate for a small town. And we're offering this for further conversation, but do not ask them to tell you what to do, because you know
No,
what
I'm not doing it. I didn't mean to say
Okay.
that. Yeah, I mean, we would go to them with something and say, what do you feel
Good.
about?
Good, great.
I remember from the CHRO meeting that there are some towns in the state that do have. human rights-
Stanford is the only one,
Yeah,
or Stanford's the only one that's had a case.
yes. I think I probably can get my hands on some sample ordinances so I can look and see like
That'd be great.
what other towns, just to get, language, a lot of this is boilerplate and just like, you just say the same kind of things 20 different ways, but I'll continue to work on this. This is not gonna be my project now.
Well,
to
it's
get-
a wonderful project and I really appreciate you doing it. My vision of all this is that we're going to let people know there is such a thing as human rights, that everybody has them. You have the opportunity to be treated fairly and with dignity. And oh, by the way, if you have a problem, here's what to do about it, or here's one thing you could do about it. And we have to set up that base before anybody is going to come forward because people are afraid.
Absolutely. And
So,
I think, and
We're
my
doing both
feeling
of
is,
these things.
my feeling as a citizen in the town, I've been here for, 42 years. If one of my neighbors has a problem, and I say neighbors meaning anybody in the town, it'd be nice if they could come to a friendly Mansfield face first.
Right.
kind of sending them off to Norwich, you know, for CHRO, the regional office for us is in Norwich, so, you know, we're gonna send some poor Yukon student that may be disabled, you know, if you need help, you really have to go down to Norwich and work it out, and that just, you know, to me, that's just passing the buck and not being very friendly. So I want to be as neighborly as we possibly can and make it where we're you know, they get to see us, you know, people, and preferably not even staff people, but, you know, just regular people like us that are not, you know, that live in the town and work here. And
Yep.
we have
I,
the best
I think
interest
that's a
here.
great approach.
I
By the
agree.
way, I don't remember when I did this last year, but at some point I have to make a presentation to the town council of what we're doing and how it relates to the international statement from the UN, and it's sometime January, February, March. So I will include that we're working on this because ultimately we're going to need them to authorize us to do this. So I'll just let them know. And everything we do is a big surprise to them because they don't give a lot of thought to these issues.
No, they don't. And I also think when I'm gonna look into it also, you know, we always make these things up for adults. I think it's important I gotta keep in mind that children have issues sometimes too. And, you know, we need to possibly provide some guidance through them, you know, something, you know, dummied down, or work with the schools to make them understand that the kids may have issues that, they need to know where to go, you know, telling them to talk to a teacher or something like that. That is not always the answer, you know. Some kids
Yeah.
are,
That's really good. I want to go around and meet the principals and talk to them about what we're doing. And then I can imagine a lot of different things we could do with kids, including just have little after school meetings or, you know, hi, this is what human rights is and we want you to know about it. And what do you think? You know, just something like that. Okay, well, thank you, Ray. You have
Welcome.
more expertise in this than anybody else in this group, so I appreciate it.
And Ray, I have a question, knowing that you probably are the more legal mind. For ADA complaints, is there a state level or a federal level?
I talked to CHRO about that because
Uh-huh.
they were a little vague, and they said they would handle anything that anybody brought up. There was a case that I came across about the dog at the Yukon being a service dog and having to pay rent and all that stuff. And I gave that to them as a hypothetical situation, you know, would they handle that? And they said absolutely. So, you know, the kind of things that we're crossing right now, I think they would handle, so.
Yeah, because there's
That's why
probably a different mechanism that does need to be in place for ADA, since it is a federal
There's also, you know,
expectation.
there's state, you can go like, to enter into that process, you can do it state, federal, US attorney, you can go all different ways. They all have pamphlets saying that they'll help you out, but
But just thinking in terms of a general human rights
yeah,
review board, it
Right.
would probably need to be separate from the ADA complaint board, would be my guess, just because
if they want to
one
keep that
has
intact,
ordinances and one
yeah,
would be kind of a town grown ordinance and expectation.
possibly. So I'd have to think about that. I mean, you know, if somebody's gonna have to investigate the complaints, you know, it seems like we could do that if we wanted to.
But we have to get permission to do that.
Right.
The
Yeah,
NAACP
right,
and
right,
William does a really good job of that. And if
Yeah.
we actually move in that direction, I would talk to Rodney and find out what guidelines he uses and how he does. He's really good at it.
Yeah,
And it
yeah.
would probably be the ultimate mechanism of whatever that review board kind of determinant is, takes the information and then would make a recommendation to town council.
Mhm.
And then town council would be the ones to act upon it, since they would be the ones who
Mhm.
would have any sort of legal authority to compel somebody to do something that they might not want to do.
Right.
Yeah, Okay.
Jane, when you mentioned talking with the schools, I thought, or the principals, I thought that was a great idea. And perhaps Katie, you know, some collaboration with human rights and children and adolescents, maybe some type of collaborative project with Youth Services Bureau, whether it's a workshop or just a, you know, kind of an informal discussion with kids, might be a good idea. And I was thinking of that because I've been working in Haiti for the past 14 years, and Haiti has a day every year where it's celebrated, where children get to talk about children's rights in Haiti. And I think that the United Nations too has that proclamation. So that might be just interesting to do moving along the line with a partnership with you, Katie.
I mean, there's probably already a mechanism in place, I would
Yeah.
guess at the Mansfield Middle School, just because they have the Change Makers Club.
Yeah,
means that's
right,
staffed
right.
by middle school staff themselves, so that could maybe be an opportunity where, you know, if we as a committee wanted to have a conversation about, do you know what your human rights are?
Yeah,
They might
it's a good
have that
idea.
group of interested students who would kind of already be there, and that could be an add-in to their club. I know the school does a lot of work around the premise of human rights and diversity.
They do.
Like Mansfield is a fairly like
Right,
in
yeah.
it
Yeah.
district.
Mhm.
And then I
Yeah.
know Janine, you had given us the update from Amy and the work that she's doing up at EO. Like they're definitely very involved in kind of human rights stuff. So I think there's a lot of the work that is happening, but there's certainly, I think, a lot of linkages that exist within this work group that could go in and have a specific conversation with a lot of interested students that are already kind of pooled together.
Mhm.
Great
Sure.
idea. Should we be talking to the administration at EO?
Or not?
Because I have never gotten any positive response from them ever, as in can't get in the front door. And so I just kind of, I know Peter, I like Peter, and I think we can talk to him and work with the elementary and the middle school, but the high school has been very insular.
Who's the present board there? Who's the chairman over there? Who's the big wheel?
Sharon Canoyer is the superintendent for Region 19, and Dr. Lou DeLoretto is their principal. I know we're building our connections with EO just because it's a bit of a service expansion from us, but I know they are doing actually a big push this year to make students aware of their Title 19 rights and making sure that if students feel like their Title 19 rights have been disrespected by, you know, students or staff, that there is like a QR code reporting mechanism that they've been building up. I think it's their own school culture. So I have found Dr. DeLoretto to be very interested in where organizations can resource the school. So if there's something that we have to offer them, I think they're excited to accept a resource. It would generally be best received if it's a resource that can be available to all students, regardless of their sending district, since it is that challenge with the regional school district where it's hard for them to operate as a single school, but have different expectations for different students in different towns. So it would have to be kind of a potentially like a regional kind of a collaborative year approach, or it would be something that the town of Mansfield agreed, like, yes, we'll do whatever this, you know, resourcey thing is for EO.
They have two clubs up there that have to do with civil rights and human rights, don't they? Does it make sense to try to meet with them and just explain that we exist and what we're trying to accomplish and see if they have anything they'd like to talk to us about or suggest that we do?
Sure.
I mean, I think Amy's
Which
pretty
groups?
connected to those.
Amy is, I don't know how Amy's doing what she's doing, but she's working and
Yeah,
on chemo at the same time. And I think
Yes.
she's barely standing up. I haven't talked to her in a while. Janine, you said you've talked to her. How's she doing?
she's doing okay. She's going through phase 2, almost ending with it, and then she will have surgery. And then she has to go through some more treatment. So this is a long process for her. And you are correct. I mean, she has her page and, you know, I sign up to help out and everything. She jokes about it, but you could tell that it is taking a toll on her. As far as the groups, I mean, there's the parents for the prejudice group. There's Cultural Awareness Brigade for the teens. Deliberation and Discourse. Raveen's telling me what the name of the course from for Amy is. Deliberation and Discourse. I just TD, that's all I remember. Dunkin' Donuts, TD. And I know there's some other groups there. If I'm not mistaken, the parents, what's the name of the group for the parents? I can't remember. It has to do with
I know what you're talking.
prejudice and everything. And that group, the parents leaned more towards Black students. CAB, Cultural Awareness Brigade, was for all culture. You know, you're welcome, whatever in there.
Yeah, okay.
And-
Let me think about, maybe I need to meet her too.
I mean, I think the parent, anyone is allowed to go in there, you know, anyone from the community for the parent group. And I know there's other groups, for life of me, I can't remember, you know, the other half of them. I do know that when Lou would come to the group meetings, he was, if there was a new person, a new hire, or someone trying to interview for a job, he was trying to encourage parents, people on the committee to sit on there. So they were really trying to be a little bit more, Katie, what's the word I'm looking for?
Inclusive.
Yeah, they're really, really trying to do that, but you do have some of the old diehards that are, they're having difficulty with dealing with this. I talked with some teachers who were hired, and when they were hired, you know, in hindsight, they kind of knew why they were being hired, but when they got there, they're like, oh, so like I'm the only one. So it's still a stepping process, a very, you know, teeny tiny stepping process. I know that they're trying to do well, but
All right, well, Amy does not have an easy road, and this is what she
No.
does when she's not teaching. So I know that it's not easy, but I'm glad they're trying. Katie,
In
what?
terms of supporting Amy, and kind of recognizing that she is the spearhead of several of these
Yep.
human rights based clubs, you know, would it be helpful to reach out to her and see if she would want club coverage one day from a member of the group to go in and have them be a guest speaker with I think all the clubs have 2 advisors, so it would still be, you know, staffed by the co-advisor. But then if it's a day that Amy needs a break or Amy's not available because she's in treatment, that there's something that this
a good idea.
commission can do to support the work that she's begun.
Yeah, I'll write her a note and see where she is and find out what she wants. Okay, has anybody got any other things they've been doing? Yeah, Katie, go ahead.
We've officially locked down our date for Celebrate Pride 2024. So that will be on the first Friday of June, Friday, June 7th. I
great.
am crossing my fingers for a better forecast this year than last year. But I'm hopeful. Still arranging my backup rain coverage because that is definitely a thing. But we will be showing the Netflix film The Prom. And we were granted permission to show that at no cost. So we'll be excited to show that. We've got our middle school pride group excited about that and kind of trying to get
Great.
some ideas from them. And then giving them cookies and rainbow sprinkles to decorate too, because like that's half the fun.
Yeah.
Oh, that
You know,
sounds
when you
great, Katie.
mentioned Netflix, I have a question for you because I just saw Rustin last week. And has anybody seen Rustin? No. Baird Rustin was the brains behind the Million Man March that Martin Luther King gave his I Have a Dream speech. He was the man who organized it. He did it in 8 weeks. He was an amazing organizer. He was also a very indiscriminate gay guy in the 50s. And he got himself in all kinds of trouble for having sex in public places. But in the meanwhile, he was busy advancing the civil rights movement, and the Black clergy, who were notably not supportive of a person who behaves like that, really had a hell of a time with him. Anyway, this is the story of his experience organizing that march. And I found it very brilliant. And I thought to myself, I'd like to just show that and have people sit around and talk about it. Do you have to get special permission to show a Netflix movie if you're not charging any money?
Yes, you have to have a license.
You have to, how much does a license cost?
So here is the funny thing about Netflix. If you are, I believe, a library or showing a movie at a library. I believe you can do it at no cost.
Okay,
Otherwise,
that's all I need to know.
I'm pretty sure. And if that is not the case, you have to like go through their process to do a public showing that you're going to publicize to get approval. They do generally, I believe, give approval for things that are related to social well-being. So that's why we were able to get them to say yes to the prom. But like if I wanted to, show some other random movie, I would probably not get that same approval. And I can try to dig out the contact for what that is, because they bury it really deep on the website. But I
Well,
believe if you're a
I'm,
library,
this
you
is
can do
just a
it.
thought, but this movie really impressed me, and they've done some really good anti-racism work at the senior center of all places. And there is a grad student who is also fully employed there named Jamil, and she's run 2 healing from racism groups. And I'm kind of hoping I can talk her into running this movie. And that
And the
what you
senior
just said.
center has a public library branch.
Yes, yeah, that's
All right.
great. Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm going to call Jamil and I'm going to say, listen, I had this idea. What do you think about it? And see where we go with that, because I think people ought to see it. I mean, it illustrates homophobia, all of the conflicts, a lot of the conflicts in the Black community, and yet it's just fascinating. And I thought it was extremely well done. And it was sponsored by the Barack and Michelle Obama Foundation. And to me, that's as much as you need to say. So
Right. How is
I
it
know-
spelled? How is it spelled, Jane? How the title?
Rustin, Rustin, that's his last name.
Rustin. Okay, thank
Black
you.
Quaker, very unusual person because of that, but he grew up in Pennsylvania and his parents were grandparents who raised him were Quakers, absolutely totally nonviolent person, but with limited judgment in certain areas of his life that was always getting him in trouble. And yet he did this incredible thing. So
Oh, great. Yeah, I'd like to show that at my church. That sounds
yeah,
awesome.
or, I mean, just show it in your living room. It's wonderful. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think you'll enjoy it.
I don't get
Okay.
Netflix.
And I know
Other
the-
comments.
just Jane, with the senior center, I know they still have not appointed or hired who
Right.
the new senior director will be,
Right.
but I know as part of the human services department that there is going to be a desire to do something that is progressive and stuff like that, and that could be a really cool linkage to do in June between his queer identity and Juneteenth, and that might be a really awesome event
Yeah,
for them
right.
to plan for June, if you want to kind of float that to Jamel. And
Yeah, I mean, Mary Flood, who was the program
Yeah,
director.
right.
she's still there.
Like,
Mary's still
wonderful.
there.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know
she's
the acting director.
acting
Does not
supervisor.
want
Yeah,
to be director, and it's really too bad because
yeah,
she had
yeah.
all of those values and all the skills, I think, too. But anyway, she didn't want to do that job.
She gets to program the fun stuff and not deal with
Well, I
buildings.
used to have a
Right,
job
right.
like that when I was director of educational programs for a couple of different residence hall systems, and it's wonderful. You just get to get people to talk about things and show movies and eat popcorn, and it's wonderful. And you don't have budget problems, and you don't have a lot of other kind of problems. Okay, other comments, suggestions? Barbara, where are you going on your next out of the country jaunt?
Egypt.
Stay away from the border. Just stay away from the border.
We're I think it's gonna be okay. It's with a Viking cruise and they have high security. So
Yeah,
everything I've read about it, we should be all right.
good
It's
for you.
5 hours away from the border with Israel. So
Good for you. That's great.
Wonderful. Have a wonderful time.
I've got
Okay.
my fingers crossed that more doesn't go wrong between
Right.
now and then.
Yeah,
Right.
you never know. You never
No.
know.
Mm.
Other comments or thoughts? Debbie, welcome aboard.
Thank you, everyone.
Finishing up,
Nice
thank you
meeting
very
you.
much for being interested in this, and I would like to entertain a motion to adjourn, please.
So moved.
Janine, second by Sabrina, all in favor? Aye. Okay, I'll see you next month. Take care,
I-
everybody.
I won't be here, Jane, but
Yeah, I know, and Debbie won't be here either, so
Okay,
we may have an unofficial meeting next month.
all
Okay,
right.
I'll see you when I get back. Thank you, everyone.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.